Hi, all, and welcome to Monday night's All Meta Mode podcast with Gypsy, myself, Amanda Digger DeGaz, and special guest, Karin the Metal Pirate Girl. Before we get started with tonight's show, just a quick reminder that April is almost over, and though you can always read the April issue, now is the chance to really go and check it out before May drops. So go to dirtdigest.com and click on current issue. Boop, boop. Hey, Gypsy, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. How about you? Hanging in there?
I'm certainly trying. I am trying, that's for sure.
I know it's been rough with all this lockdown, and you're caring for a lot of families, and working on top of that, so it must be crazy.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Well, we're going to get through this somehow, some way, and get to go digging together before too long, I'm sure of it. So we just got to stay positive.
Yeah, so I'm staying positive. I mean, so definitely took a little bit of time off there, detecting, and I did try to get back into it this weekend. I think I took 2 weeks off maybe, and just 2 weeks off, trying to get back into it. Yeah, I struggled. I went out yesterday for a little while to one of my fields. My first property permission that I ever received. The property owner's actually not doing well, so, and she's not there right now, and going to the house and not being able to wave and talk through the window, and so it's just, even when you think you're getting away, it's one of those, you have a reminder that stuff's going on, and yeah, so.
Wow, yeah.
But I have gotten down to the river for a little bit. There's a river that flows by a mill near me, and the hills, I believe, were old dumping grounds. So I did find a Knights of Columbus, I guess, watch fob and a couple glass buttons.
I saw that.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
Yeah, it was.
I would have been jumping up and down. You were like, I watched your video, and you were like, oh, that's so neat. And I'm like, I would have been, oh, wow. Screaming.
Well, and I did. I watched it after. I'm like, I was more excited about the little button sitting to the left. I'm like, oh, look, a button.
I saw this, and you were like, oh, look. You got all excited about the button, and I would have been like, although it made me think of the button dumper force, and I started going, oh, well, yeah, we do love our buttons.
We do. And you never know when it's sitting with the shank up, there's always that, oh, what could this be? And
what is it? Yeah, that suspense. But yeah, I would have totally been, oh, that Knights of Columbus thing. That is really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
And actually, a good friend of ours, his father has been in the Knights of Columbus, or no, his grandfather has been in the Knights of Columbus for his entire life, and he wrote to me and, asked if I would part with it and explained that he would really like to try to repurpose it and give it as a gift, and absolutely, I know his that would be great, and I can't wait to see what it will look like after, so I'm pretty excited about that. To have found it, because it would have, it would have just, if I missed it, and with the rain that we've been getting the past few days, it would have been washed away in the river. So, I'm thinking, oh, maybe I saved it, and for that reason, so that way he can repurpose it and gift it to his grandfather.
That is too cool.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, just that alone, too, that makes it even more special, but it would be interesting to do a big, Knights of Columbus history research. You probably know more about them than I do. I think that'd be a fun little research to do.
Yeah, I know that while hunting there as well, and I'll have to post the picture. I haven't yet. I thought they were just like square stones, and when you see the picture, you'll realize. But I couldn't figure out what they were, and they were semi-translucent, and I forget whose video. I think I was watching the Northern Mudlarkers, and they came
Hmm.
upon the same thing. Well, come to find out, it's the old utensils, not utensils, it's the writing implements. So it was like slate pencils. So slate on slate,
Huh.
and I actually found a part of slate, which might have been a chalkboard at some point, and I wrote on it, and it wrote, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's what these are. And I looked them up, and yeah, they were what was used to write back then in schools and stuff. So that was pretty exciting.
Well,
But
that's exciting. That's more exciting than my little outing I did this week, where I went in the neighborhood. There's like a little reserve back there, and there's some bike trails and some hiking trails back there, and a lot more trails than I thought there was. And I found a quarter, a modern quarter, and a bullet casing and an old bullet. But I mean, old. I'd say it had to have been there at least, before any of that subdivision or any of that was ever built back there. Probably, a good 20, 15, 20 years ago. But anyway, it was good to get out, though.
yeah, that's awesome.
So, yeah, I think we should go ahead and bring in our special guest tonight. What do you
Sounds
think?
sounds good to me.
Awesome. Well, tonight we have Karin, Metal Pirate Girl, and we got to meet her at Pound the Ground. I got to hang out with her a little, and we were planning on hanging out at the Charles Garrett Memorial Hunt together, but unfortunately that got postponed because of all this mess, but hopefully they'll be redoing that soon, and we'll get together and get to dig together. So, hey, Karin, welcome. Welcome to All Mel Mode.
Well, thanks for having me, Gypsy and Amanda. I would have loved to have hit that button dump you guys did after.
Oh, man. It was a blast. It was a blast. I've been doing a little bit of research, and basically the button dumps were a lot of the old textile mills. And what was that? Who were we interviewing a few weeks ago? Do you remember, Amanda? Somebody used it, called it something else.
The snake pit.
Remember.
It was Butch, right?
Yeah, well, they called it something else, though.
Mm-hmm.
Not the snake pit. There was some other word. Gosh, now I can't recall. But, Karin, I'm sure we're, further up north, and also, of course, I live way down here in the south. So there's not as many of those textile mills, but I'm sure there's some. But it would be a fun thing to research. There's probably a lot more button dumps in your area. So just start researching maybe old textile mills.
Yeah, and we have the problem with where I exactly live is metal detectorists and oh my gosh, and archaeologists do not get along.
Oh no! Oh no!
Yes, we try.
That happens.
The detectorists try. So archaeologists have taken over everything they possibly can, and anything else that hasn't been taken over. And so I'm in an area where it's almost totally illegal to detect almost everything. I have some privilege.
Oh my gosh.
I have a little privilege because I do a lot of work with the local police. So towns can make their own areas. So that's what's made me a park hunter around here and beach hunting on the beaches I can. I live right by the lake. I can't even go into the creeks. I have to be very careful where I go. I'm sitting on top of the beginning, the very first shots of 1812 were shot. The cannons were shot on Lake Erie, 20 minutes away from my front door. And there's nothing I can do about it except hear all the old people tell me about the great cannonballs and the helmets they've dug and all the gold they've dug and the reals they've dug. And I just hope I get lucky on my little areas of beach and stuff that something will wash up someday.
Oh my gosh, that must be hard. I don't think. I can't even imagine. That's got to be excruciating. Just sitting there on top of all that history.
Yes, and that's exactly what it's like here. And so I do a lot of traveling. I belong to a couple metal detecting clubs, and this year was going to be our year because if I go northeast a little bit further up, I can detect a little bit more area. And our club just got all these permissions for monthly digs. And,
that's good.
Yeah, we haven't been able to do. Yeah, we're grounded now. So
wow.
I thought this was going to be my year.
Right? But I think we all did. That's what Amanda and I have been saying. 2020 is going to be our year.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
but
Ambient Girl.
It turned out to be.
I was going to go up there, see them. I have plans to go to New Jersey to hunt with Jersey history hunters. And all that was supposed to take place after I met up with you at the Garrett hunt. So this year's kind of iffy. We'll see what happens. But I saw, Gypsy, you had your electrolysis video that you just came out with.
Oh, yeah. We're going to have to hear about your electrolysis that you have as well.
Well, our electrical components are pretty identical, so
really, cool.
We set ours up pretty much the same. I just used rebarb in mine and copper wire. I made a bigger tub. I'm a dig it all, and I get excited about just about anything.
You're like me. I just go ahead and dig it all. I mean, and something I recently found out, too, my dad told me, and then I had another digger tell me that, you know those battery cores that you dig sometimes?
Yes.
I heard that they work really well in the electrolysis for your sacrificial.
The carbon.
Yeah,
the
carbon rods.
Mm-hmm. And of course, I have scrapped all of mine.
Yeah, and I did the same thing, but I think I'm going to start saving some. And I found a lot in a local dump near me, and I just leave them there. A lot of them I've left, and then some of them I've scrapped. But I'm going to have to start saving those carbon rods and using them for the electrolysis, definitely.
It'll speed it up, and it'll make it work a little more intense.
Awesome. I can't wait to try it. I just haven't been really able to get out to go get some more, but hopefully soon. I know that, Amanda and I we like to ask our guests kind of some standard questions. So I'm going to hand it over to Amanda and let her ask a few, and then I'm going to ask you a few, and then we'll go from there. How's that sound?
It works for me.
Awesome.
I didn't have an excuse to chicken out of this. Like, what can you do in the middle of lockdown? In the middle of lockdown, what was I supposed to tell you? I'm
Right.
busy. Sorry, I
I'm
can't do
busy.
this. I was like, I don't have an excuse. Like, I read your text message immediately, and I'm like, how do I get out of this? What do I say? I have dinner
I
and a movie.
twisted your arm.
Pretty easy to get me tonight.
So, Karin, how long and how did you get into metal detecting?
Well, years ago, I picked up a detector from like Radio Shack. And it's funny, I'm a dig it all person because I gave up like a few good finds right out of the backyard. Me and my friend got, and that was exciting. And then it was junk. How many pull tabs can you dig up? And I gave up.
Oh.
But then later, I got into magnet fishing. I'm huge into magnet fishing. And that led me back into metal detecting, and then seeing a couple YouTube channels. Some aren't around anymore. And then I saw Gypsy, Digging Canuck, Jersey History Hunters, Stan, Admonish the Metal, stuff like that. And then I was hooked. And I got an AT Pro, and that was just a game changer. And I'm also, years later, much more patient. And it's peaceful. I love going out there. It's a way to shut off your mind. It's not just the dig, but it's a beautiful spot. I live less than a mile from the local beach here on Lake Erie. And talk about, I never knew people horseback rode on our beach. Never. Because I wasn't out there at 6 o'clock in the morning. And now I'm out there. I try to be very stealth around here in my digging. So the least amount of people, the better. And the AT Pro, then I became a detector collector too. Those are two separate hobbies.
That is. We all are.
So now I'm hooked. And then I started a YouTube, not as chivalrous as everybody else tells you when you interview them. I started it basically just to meet you all, and it worked.
There you go. Cool.
I met you two last fall, and I've been out 2020. I have already had a great find, some great finds in 2020, right before lockdown. I went digging in Ohio with Don Detection Connection and Digging with Deej, and found some neat stuff and met up with them for the day. I also found an amazing sub shop.
Oh, cool.
I do have a question. So you said you detect the beach Erie, of Lake Erie. Now this might sound silly, and I know around here they do it. But in the fall and the spring, do they drop the lake levels at all?
No, our lake level shifts.
Okay.
So, shifts with the winds and the currents. So Ohio could have high waters, then we'll have low waters. Or vice versa. And those are good times to check it out.
Awesome.
I have found a lot of rings, and I have not found one ring in the lake, though. And everybody else does. I don't understand it.
Huh. That's weird. I guess that water is super cold, too. You probably don't get in it. Or do you?
You in Texas think that. Yeah, I'll get in. Oh, yes. I'll definitely
cool.
get in. You are my hero of river hunting and stuff. That's all. I have already been in the creek this year. I got skunked, but and I've fallen in already this year. But being from Buffalo, it's not the end of the world.
Wow. Well, if you ever get to Texas, we will definitely have to have you. We'll have to go check out one of these rivers over here.
Yes,
by.
I love how you go to your rivers. Those are my favorite videos, gypsy river hunting videos.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, unfortunately, it's so seasonal, and I haven't got to get in this year, but it's been warm enough. One of the rivers that I hunt, usually I wait till it hits like 90 degrees so because it's so cold. The river is like freezing. But it's already getting up into the 80s, and it's supposed to get, I think, in the 90s this weekend. So.
Oh, we go to the creek here as long as there's not ice, we can go.
Oh wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I just bought some new hip waders, so I'm ready to use them. I haven't got to use them yet. I was hoping to use them sooner so I could go to those colder rivers, but I haven't yet because of the lockdown.
Yeah, this has got to end.
This has got to
end. But at least we're fortunate. I know you know Pink Power Alley, and I was talking to her, and they're not allowed to go out at all. They're giving fines. Yeah, and I saw Tyson in the chat. Nova Scotia, somebody got fined $1,000. So
they're
if you're caught,
lockdown.
Yes.
Wow.
So I really guess I shouldn't be so whiny about it right now. But I think
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I think we all are getting to that point. The places where it's more strict, and like for me, I'm just not. I'm closer to the big city, so I can't just go out to a local field or anything where there's lots of history and stuff like that. So it's been really hard on some of us, harder than the ones that live in an area where they can just, there's got a lot of permissions that they've acquired in the past, or I know a lot of the parks are shut down and stuff as well. So some people, I've been seeing posts of people going out every day since lockdown, and I've been sitting here drooling, for all their fines, so I don't think you're being whiny at all. It's just, it's frustrating. I get it. Totally. Oh, totally.
And in New York, we're not allowed to do things like Ambient Girl in New Hampshire. They just go to these woods and go and hunt. All our woods are posted and owned, and I am not a door knocker. That is my downfall.
I'm not either. That's my downfall, too. We need to take some lessons from Amanda. She's really good at door knocking. But
not in the Vermont trip we had.
not on that particular trip, but we still. I'm like Tyson said. He's scared. He gets scared when he door knocks. I do too. I don't know. I have no problem talking to even a stranger about metal detecting and even asking for permission, but it's knocking on that door, interfering with someone's day that gets me. I can do more pulling up in the yard, if they're in the yard, and kind of walking up and say, hey, I'm in the area looking for but knocking on their door, that's what scares me.
Yes. But so how I've just met up with you all on YouTube, and literally my summer trip last year was going to Nova Scotia, all planned because of Tyson, who's in your chat now, and Darlene for Yours Acadian, and meeting up with them. And Darlene didn't have a good detector for she hunts early in the morning, and her detector didn't do. And I have my AT Pro, and I had an AT Max. And I think detectors kind of are personalities too. And me and Max didn't quite get along as good as me and Pro, so so I gave Darlene my AT Max, so she'd be better off in the summer, and instead of mailing it, I just drove there.
Wow.
And that would have never happened if it wasn't for metal detecting. So metal detecting's given me way more treasures than I've dug out of the ground.
Wow. Well, that was really nice of you. Does she use her Max a lot?
They are in total lockdown now, and before that, some other things with their weather. They're right on the Sunday part. They've had it bad. So,
wow.
2020 was going to be the year. Hopefully, we still have time. And I'd really like to get up to New Hampshire and hunt with them. And Amanda, you're in Maine, right?
Yes. Yep.
So you're not that far to add to the trip.
Nope. I'm actually right over the border of New Hampshire, so. Well, I guess a lot of Maine is, but.
That's not far. Maybe we could kidnap Ambient Girl that's in the chat and bring her with us.
Yeah, I think Nancy's only about 40 minutes from me, so that's not bad at all. That's not bad. I was going to kidnap her on the next...
Y'all are so lucky.
Yeah.
Y'all are so lucky. Y'all all live close to each other, and I'm way down south.
Yeah, it is still
so we definitely need to plan a trip when all this is over with. Karin, so about how long have you been metal detecting now then? Several years?
For serious?
Couple years?
Serious, about 3 years.
About 3 years. Awesome.
Maybe 4.
Right.
And every year it just gets more addictive.
Right. And I started out with the Radio Shack as well. And, some of us, we learned the hard way. I did find one ring with it. But
oh, you did better than me.
But learned quick that I needed to find something else. So, Amanda, you got another question?
Yes. Obviously 2020 still has a ways to go, thankfully. But do you have a white whale that you are looking for at the top of your bucket list?
It would depend on what area I'm in. For me, in my area right here, it's pretty simple to pull a gold ring off the beach for 2020. Mm-hmm. And it's not for lack of trying, because I dig it all.
Yeah.
So something so simple as that's you in Maine, like a copper would be amazing for me, which I almost got in Ohio this year. Almost.
Then
it was in a hole. I got a beautiful tomback with fancy on it. before I cleaned it up, we almost thought it was a Washington in Pittsburgh.
Oh.
And that was super exciting. So I love that. When I went to Pittsburgh, it was in the fall, and I left here at 3 o'clock in the morning, went to Pittsburgh. As we dug, it was cold when I left, very cold. When I left here, we were down to T-shirts in Pittsburgh, and I drove home, and the roads were closed, and there was a huge blizzard.
Wow. Oh, gosh.
So, and that's only a 3-hour difference. 3 hours difference in the drive.
Wow.
And so I know that's not like most everybody's white whale, but I have been alluded to gold in the lake. I know it's there.
You'll find it. You will definitely find it. You gotta,
a rail would be nice too. 15 minutes down the road, somebody planted a tree and they found a cache.
Wow.
I can't even imagine.
And they didn't even know what it was.
Oh my gosh. They got our dream find by just planting a tree, huh? That's hilarious.
So, and there's so many Spanish ships sunk in Lake Erie and in this area.
I've heard that. There's all kinds of ships down there. So there's bound to be, after one of those storms, something wash in. So.
Yeah. My goal of 2020 is to take scuba lessons.
Yeah.
I want to.
I was going to say, I also had that on the list. Yeah, I went.
Yeah,
but it doesn't work.
That's been mine too this year too. So.
You're in a great area for that, Karin.
Yes. Treasure hunting is almost illegal doing that, but I could get a hookah set up and take it into some of the creeks and stuff and have some fun.
Oh, definitely.
Have you tried any of the, when the riverbeds get kind of low, to do the bucket practice with the clear bottom? Have you done that at all?
With the bucket?
Yeah, so
I built myself a sifter.
Yep. So it's like take a Home Depot bucket, or I know some people have used, what is it, Gypsy, PVC pipe, rounder.
PVC pipe, yeah.
Yep. And then you basically cut the bottom out and put in a plexiglass or a glass and glue it and basically make sure it's and then put that in the water.
Yeah, I have not done that. And that would be a good idea because we all go out in the kayaks, throw the detectors in, and we also just mud lurking I've been doing my whole life.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Do you have a favorite find?
I have not found a arrowhead. And I live in Indian. I have 2 reservations by me, lots of native history, and there's absolutely no reason why in my whole life walking, looking down in the fields, the woods, the creeks, I have yet. That would be my white whale, probably.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Huh.
And we had all these amazing plans to go digging with Deej and Don from Detection Connection. We were going to do almost this monthly hunt thing because it's like a day drive. I wish the Jersey History Hunters and I lived just a little closer because I can do a 4-hour drive and then hunt for 8 hours and drive 4 hours back.
Well, yeah.
but they're 8 hours away.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's a lot
Because
further.
they too in New Jersey, they just walk into these woods and go hunt. We have no place to do that here.
Yeah, that must be nice.
And
Around
you
here,
said you
there's...
went walking.
Uh-huh.
Gypsy, you walked in the trails and hunted. Even though you didn't find much, you were still able to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, there's a few areas here that I guess it's county owned. I'm not exactly sure. Excuse me. And some of it's probably city owned. And there's no fences, but of course, any private land got to get permission. But yeah, there's some areas still, I guess, like where Jersey history hunters live. It must be nice to just be able to find some woods and that, you know, they're well, it's just very rare around here. It's all going to be privately owned, keep out, all these signs on here in Texas, it's barbed wire fences. I don't know about further north for y'all, but it's usually, all blocked off and there's signs and stuff. So.
Yeah, I think the people here own stock in posted signs and no trespassing signs. And then when I see one of those, I definitely don't want to go knock on the door. Although
right.
Although a lot of people do, and I see they have good luck.
I actually helped a property owner hang them on one of my permissions.
Really?
So you never know, because they know that I get out there further than them in the fields. So, I mean, yeah, and that way I could let them know that, this one's falling down or there's one ripped off so, yeah, you never know that even ones that have the signs, it could have been someone like me who hung them up.
Well, I wouldn't mind helping people. I'll hang them up if I can hunt your land.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
My sister, who thinks this is all silliness, she scored me a Boy Scout camp.
Ooh.
And she thinks this is all silliness. Me and my buckets and my shovels and everything. We are totally the opposite. And she was so excited that she got me this and had no idea how good a Boy Scout camp. And it's probably virgin on top of it. So talk about huge exciting. There's a catch. You're not allowed to dig. Sure, you can go metal detecting, but you're not allowed to dig. And she was so proud of herself. She called me up. She was so proud and excited. And you're not allowed to dig.
That's just crazy.
That is like horrible.
Yeah, is there any way you can bring like a little probe and pop a few things out of the ground? Yeah, a small little probe.
Yeah, I have.
They won't let you do that.
I just gave it up after that. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
She's still friends with them. They might warm up. Maybe after this. This might open people up some more. That's my hope.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a permit for another state park, and the rules are you can only dig with something under 1 inch wide. So pretty much you're limited there.
Huh.
Well, Paul from the chat had a question. He wanted to know if you were planning on going to dig stock this fall, if all is well.
I have not gotten a ticket yet, and my plan is if there's a ticket, I'm not willing to jump the gun on that right now.
Yeah, yep.
Right.
My heart got broken. I really thought for sure. I texted Gypsy. I'm like, yeah, I'm coming. I got all my stuff, and then it was. I held out. I held out to the very last minute. I did
Yeah.
not cancel. Everybody that was going canceled that I knew from this side. They canceled their planes. They canceled their driving. They canceled the Airbnb we were all staying at. And I held out. I'm like, nope, I'm going. This can't be that bad. I'm going. They'd cancel it if it was bad. And boom. Then that got kiboshed. So I'm going to hold off. I'm a little skittish. I love the digs, though. The rallies and digs. I have a lot of fun at them.
Yeah, and the people you get to meet and dig with, and it opens up opportunities for you to travel and stuff. So that's the highlights for me.
Is it the travel? You've been all over. You've been all over and met some great people. You met Amanda through traveling, right?
Actually, it's funny. I met Amanda. I had only met Amanda at Pound the Ground. That was the first time I'd met her in person. It was all through Mike from All Metal Mode, and we had her on as a guest. And he said, "Hey, what do you think about having two female hosts?" And he wanted to take on another night and start the Tuesday night show. And that's how Amanda and I came about right there, as we started the Monday night podcast. Or was it vice versa? Tuesday, I can't even remember now. But it was something like that. Right, Amanda?
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to meet. Last year was the first time I met Amanda in person. It was all just through.
Oh wow, you guys!
Yeah,
you guys seem like you knew each other forever.
we do, don't we? We do. We just hit it off from the beginning. That's for sure. I think Deej had said something earlier. Deej, I missed your comment. Let me see if I can find it. It was to ask Karin about the historic train wreck and the folklore about the pigman. That sounds like an interesting story.
Oh, yes. You said about textile mills and stuff. Well, we have a old sawmill, and it's just a little park, and it's one of my haunts to dig just to get out. And I do a lot of creek hunting there, and that's the Angola train wreck, the Angola horror, which was the largest train wreck and loss of lives. And it was now that I'm on the spot. Oh, the late 1800s. And the train derailed right off the bridge into the creek.
Oh, wow. And, did they get all the train wreckage out, like the metal big boxes and stuff, or is that still like in the creek?
No, that's all gone. But I do find a lot of train couplers and lots of the old track.
Oh, that's so cool.
I think DJ is right, somewhere around
maybe 1878. Cool.
Yes.
Wow. What an interesting story. So did people die in that train wreck?
The largest amount of deaths lost at that time because of the Angola horror.
Oh,
Because of the
gosh.
Angola horror, you have the safety of the trains today. If that didn't happen, you wouldn't have the safety. That changed train travel across the country. It was the largest accident. And that's literally 5 minutes from my house. I mean, I am in Historyville.
Wow.
And I do dig in that creek. Part of the creek is mostly slate.
Uh-huh.
And you do have gold panners here, but it's not illegal to gold pan. It's illegal to keep anything because we have a lot of bedrock. New York State owns all
crazy
minerals.
laws. Oh, gotcha.
So if I was to find anything right here, I wouldn't be allowed to keep it, or I would just say I was at Gypsy's house and found it.
There you go.
It would be worth the travel. We'll make a video at your place.
Okay. Sounds good.
And
wow.
so there's a ton of history here that most of it is untouchable. I have faith that if I keep, it's an old sawmill too that burnt to the ground that is right where the Angola horror is.
Uh-huh.
And my theory is if I dig every piece of junk out, the good stuff's going to come up.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. Taking out the trash. Have you ever tried to join like a historical society in the area? Are there any in the area that have you tried that yet?
I introduced myself to ours 2 years ago and then last year again, and considering it. There's an archaeology group, though, that I'm considering too.
Okay.
And wondering if I get in with them, if I could just charm them into putting in a good light for metal detectorists. I don't understand why we don't get along.
Yeah,
they think we're stealing.
Yeah.
Even though when they dig it up, and yes, they, they chronological it. That's not the right word. My brain's not functioning, but they basically put it into a database, but then it sits in an attic or somewhere and collects dust for the next, 50 years before the museum or whomever that's holding it decides to sell it. Whereas, I don't know. Sorry for the rant.
No.
Well, the problem.
The problem. Go ahead.
The problem here is that the archaeologists take over all our land here, but they're not digging it up. That's my
Yeah, that's
all this history's in the ground. You know it's there. Okay. We all know as diggers a good spot. And you look at the maps and you see the history and you can't touch it. And okay, well, just take a little bit away from me. And if I can't touch it, then would you dig it up so we can enjoy it or know what the finds are and stuff? And that doesn't happen here. And that's really sad because there's a lot. I'm very shy. I won't door knock, but I'll go out and meet a stranger in a heartbeat if you say we're metal detecting. so it's
it's just got to be frustrating with all that history around you and not being able to dig those places. But you said you were a part of a club, a metal detecting club, correct?
And yes, I'm part of one, and it's in a different county. The Genesee
Okay.
Treasure Seekers are, I drive 2 hours twice a month to get together with them.
Okay.
And
I have found that some clubs are able to get permissions that individuals can't, and sometimes it's just knowing the right person, that connection, and so that's why it's good to have. But it's too bad that that's not in the same county. That's where I found some. Go ahead.
Well, that's the deal with me driving the 2 hours for that club, because my county, it's not legal.
Right. And I found that, Jersey History Hunters were saying in chat about that they had tried joining one of the archaeology clubs and that didn't work out for them. And it's funny because I think it's with any type of club. I think we all have different experiences because there's different people and different in the, those groups. And I think that, there is such a clash with some archaeologists with metal detecting and others. There aren't. If you can get in with that archaeology group and the historical society, it could pay off. One of them could pay off better than the other. So you just never know what might, spark that interest. I've never done the archaeology groups, but I would love to. I just don't know of any in my area. A lot of it is done through the university in Austin, a lot of the archaeology work. So basically you have to be a student, and I'm not a student. So, but with the historical society, some are easy to get in, and I know in the past I've had real good luck, and we were able to get permissions and then donate those fines, some of those fines, to the historical society, which in turn would go to local museums and things like that. So you just never know what might happen, what doors it might open.
Yeah. I think YouTube's opened up a lot of doors for it. I am not a serious YouTuber. Anybody who's seen my channel knows I'm not a serious YouTuber. I have fun with it, but it's opened a lot of doors to meet. Wow, my envy of Gypsy, and I have come so close to almost being in Texas, and there's still a door open for that now. Who would have thought that? Would ever happen? And I don't believe that would have happened if I didn't start my channel.
Yeah. Well, the same thing for a lot of us. Yeah, just like even in chat tonight, a lot of the people in chat, I've been lucky enough to meet at some of these hunts, and Amanda too. And I don't know if you know this, but we've got Mike Fuson in the chat as well tonight, and he is with Dirt Digest magazine. So for future, you can always connect with him and or us, and get some of your finds. And if you want to write a story or something, we could always see about publishing one of your stories too. So I think I agree. I know social media has really opened the doors up for all of us, especially YouTube for some of us, and then, some of the Facebook groups and detecting groups, because I wouldn't know any of y'all if it wasn't for that. So I think it's been a wonderful tool for our hobby, actually, to get to know other diggers and all over the world, really.
Yes. And that's great. I mean, all over the world. Like Nova Scotia was a big giant deal. 18-hour
Right.
drive that just to go dig. And by the way, I dug up one cool thing, some kind of hinge lock to something. And other than that one cool thing, everything else I dug was pull tabs and everything. And I had a blast.
Oh, wow.
But I got my one
I
find,
know.
18-hour drive. And Tyson
Oh,
and Darlene were amazing.
wow. That is so cool.
To,
I know that Amanda and I have several more questions for you. One of our favorite, and we already asked you, what's your bucket list find or your white whale find. But what's one of your favorite all-time finds so far since you've been detecting? Do you have one?
my favorite find is not necessarily everybody else. Another thing I have is a 1800s bicycle factory that is closed off
Oh,
now,
wow.
and that is literally 5 minutes down the road, and I'm convinced that this came from there. I thought it was junk. I dug it up on the beach, and it was legal to dig on this beach, and it is no longer legal to dig on it. And I was chucked it in the pouch thinking it was nothing. And when I took it out of the pouch, I noticed kind of like an outline of a frog thing or something. And I put it in the tumbler, and I didn't know what it was still. And then I thought maybe it came from the top of a fence. And it is a 1800s bicycle bell top.
Oh.
And it's got a frog on it. And I tumbled it and got all the sand and green out of it, almost all of it. And to this day, that's really my favorite find. And it's not something I've started a relic wall finally and everything. And people ooh and ah over a lot of things. And they're just like, yeah, okay. I guess maybe I should move it. It's next to 1940s Hopalong Cassidy decoder thing I found.
Oh, that's cool.
And yeah, people really went out over that. And that's really cool, and I like it. But that bicycle bell, it would be my favorite, which would be 3 or 4 years ago. The Tom back would be last year. And the watch fob that I found with Deej and Don a couple months ago would be my favorite from this year.
Oh, wow. What was your watch fob of?
It, believe it or not, it was from Worcester County, the county I'm in, or the county we were digging in. And it's from the original jewelry store there.
Oh, that's cool. I love those type of finds that have the writing or, that you can trace back to certain, places and history. And
I offered to give it away. I don't have a lot of my finds. I give them away when, like, people are like, "Oh, that's so cool." So, and when they get so excited, so I don't have the bicycle bell, the Tom back, and the watch fob I offered to Don because it's his area, and he was nice enough to host and invite me.
right.
And
So
he was
Don
nice
has
enough.
that.
No, he let me keep it.
Aw, he's a really sweet guy. So let's see. Did you see, Amanda? Did you see a question? I think in the chat. I missed it. Where is it?
I did not.
Okay.
I do have the normal question. One of them that we ask is if you could
Okay.
detect anywhere and there were no rules and no virus and no anything, where would you want to detect?
Um, England. I would love to go to England with a permit. There's no rules, so I get to take things back with me. I really think I'd like to go to England.
Yeah.
There is some very cool stuff that comes out of there.
It's so many different eras.
Yeah. So much history.
I mean, can you? I get excited here. Like that bicycle bell that I dug up from here is 1800s.
Hmm.
Okay, Amanda, you're like 1700s where you are, right?
Yep.
So, like, it's just, I mean, can you imagine going to England? How far we'd go back?
Yes. Yeah, I would be doing backflips. I mean, even just walking, the rivers there and then pulling out, 1600s coins and the Bronze Age axe heads and I can't even. It would be a dream.
and and they mudlark there, and they pull up whole clay pipes. I've
Yes.
found pieces of clay pipes here. I have not gotten a whole one, and they pick them out like I don't know, like silver
Like
dimes
two
here
or
and
three
there.
at a time, right? Uh,
Yeah, I've gotten
do-
pieces, but whole.
well, at least you have pieces. I don't find any of that down in Texas. Uh, but that's definitely on my bucket list is to go to England, to the UK, and I want to mudlark as well. Amanda and I daydream about that, don't we?
Yes. Yes, we do.
Definitely.
So it sounds like
Um,
we all need a big trip together.
Yes.
right? We definitely do. Definitely,
Be
definitely.
something
Because
good to look
these,
forward to.
right? Definitely.
I've
These
got the
says
passport.
you have the what for it?
I have the passport. It's doing no good right now.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Uh, these says to ask you about your treasure-filled yard.
Oh, my yard?
Yeah.
My yard is very interesting. The house that sits on it right now is 1940s. Um, and there used to be the beach up the road used to be owned all by the mob in the 50s. And I have a creek that runs on the side of me. So Silver Charmer Bill came over, and I dug in that creek more than you can imagine. I mean, it's 50 feet from my door. So I jumped down there and dig, and he dug his very first hole in the creek for the first time with me. He dug, I'm not going to remember what kind. He dug a gun, and
Wow.
we went back and forth. I dig silvers out of my yard. They'll come out and then they'll disappear for a while, and then more will come out, like as the ground shifts. I probably have 3 or 4 dumps on my ground. There's 47 acres of woods that nobody
Ooh.
minds if I go dig. I don't own that. Nobody minds if I go dig, but the trails are gone. So it's hard to get back there. And there was old 18, 1850s hotel. Um, so, and then later on, there's just been a lot of history in this area. And I can't believe I missed that gun. It couldn't have washed up. It was a pretty deep hole. I think it was there. I must have swung over it and missed it.
Wow.
I'd like you guys to tell me, and if you guys can see the chat, we bantered back and forth, and we decided to call the police on the gun. And we did call the police. They came. They took the gun, and they're the ones that told us the mob history and everything. And they're pretty sure that there's a lot more guns to be found. They've given me some other places to magnet fish that I didn't think of to find guns. And the problem with the giving them the gun, and I'd like to know what you all do ethically. We called the police. It was a real gun. It was not fireable anymore. There was a hole in it. It was from the 50s. The police took it, and neither Bill or I had a gun permit. We'll tell you that straight up. The gun had a hole in it. I doubt there was even a firing pin left. And they would not give us the gun back. So their reasoning was we didn't have a gun permit and we could fix it and use it. So I asked if I went for my gun permit, if I got my gun permit, could we then have it? Oh, no. So my question is, ethically as detectives and doing the right thing and everything, would you call the police if you dug a gun?
Well,
I know what my answer is.
Yeah.
Now,
ethically, I've always, thought you need to turn in the gun. But something I've heard, and I have several friends that work in the police department, and some that work with the sheriff's department, and some even in the FBI. And what I've been told is if it hasn't been there too long and, looks like it can't be, that it could be more recent, if you know what I mean. Like it could have been used in a murder. Those are the ones you definitely want to turn into the police. But if that one was pretty rusted and had a hole in it and all that, ethically, I think you could have got away without turning that one in. It was an older gun. That might be why they want to hold on to it, because it's kind of, a relic in a sense. You know what I mean?
Oh, so, the story we got is it was destroyed.
Yeah. See, that's just what I've heard. So what are y'all's opinions? What's your opinion, Amanda, on that?
I would probably take lots and lots and lots of pictures, and then I would turn it in. Because you never know if it could solve a cold case from like 40 years ago, depending on the damage of it, or if they could get a serial number if it hasn't been scraped off. Or I'd just rather have the clear conscience of, okay.
Of being sure, yeah. Yeah, that's another good thing if you get to know, like you said, you had some connections now with the police department. It's good to get to know certain people and maybe ask them that question and talk to them about it and say, hey, as a relic, it would just go, in a case. It's not like you're going to get it in working condition or anything like that, but clean it up and put it in the display case. I think that once they get to know you, and if you build a relationship, you may be able to get something like that back. That might be something you want to, get to know someone within the department,
The story we were told when we handed it over to them is that if it was not connected to a murder or any kind of crime that they could figure out, they would give it back to us. And
right.
obviously
And that's
not
usually the case. That's usually the case.
The gun was cool. I think it was a 47. I don't know. Maybe I can't remember. But it was very cool. And it was in very cool relic shape.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, after that experience, I am super ethical, and I wouldn't call. Now, magnet fishing is a different story because we do find, I have yet to, but other people with me or around have found guns. And those usually are fresh ones, and those need to be turned
right, in. Definitely. Yeah, it's interesting to see. I mean, if it could have possibly, like Amanda said, solved a cold case or something, if you can get a serial number off of it, that might have been something that you could have possibly taken home and tried to clean up first before you turned it in, or see if you could have seen anything on there. But because sometimes a lot of those things are so rusted out inside, they're not going to be able to get ballistics off there. So a serial number would be the key right there. If they could, possibly get a serial number, that would be the cool thing. But anyway, just a thought there. That's my thought. I think we're losing a few people because it's been over an hour. Some people saying good night, y'all. Tyson, and I think Audra's leaving. Thank y'all for joining tonight. We appreciate it. But that's a good question, Karin, because I think I've always wanted to find a gun like that. I've only found like when I lived in Galveston.
You should be digging
right. I should be. You would think I would be. The only thing I've ever found was like a magazine and it was like it's partial plastic. It's like nothing great, but the little magazine that fits up into a gun. I found it on the beach when I lived in Galveston.
Like, I was surprised, Liz in Canada, they dug up some live ammo. Like, we dig that up all the time here, 30-06 shell or, drops and stuff. Liz called the police and had them come get it in Canada to dispose of it properly. Like, we never even think of that here because they were live rounds.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I have dug one thing that I ended up contacting. I took photographs of it and sent it to two of my friends in the department, and my sheriff friend that works for the sheriff's department sent it over to his bomb squad, and they ended up coming to the house and taking photos and taking it. Said they would go dispose of it properly. So I was glad, to get it out of the house. So in that case, yeah, sometimes it's best to, not have those things around. I can see that. But for us, we're just going to, like you and me, I would just be displaying it, in a case, a gun. So I did find last year that one little piece off an old 1812 Springfield rifle, or the old Springfield rifle, the little hammer piece. I found that.
Oh, yeah.
That was cool. That was really cool.
I have not found one. This might be a bucket lister this year. Is a lot of people find bayonets in the creek.
Oh man, yes, I would love. Oh, that would totally be a bucket lister for me.
And I have not
I don't know
found one.
if you saw. Dennis was in the chat earlier. I don't know, Dennis, or if you're still here, but Mike from All Metal Mode on Tuesday night, tomorrow night. Him and Dennis and I were on a hunt right before lockdown, and you probably watched the video, and he found the bayonet handle for a Civil War bayonet. That was really cool while we were out digging. That's really neat. But I would love to find something like that. That's definitely a bucket lister for me. So.
Definitely. Yeah, it's out there. I'm just missing it somehow.
Oh, you'll get it. You will. It just takes persistence, just like anything. You'll find.
I've got some new creek areas to check out this summer that I didn't know how to access, and now I know how to access that area. So I think there's going to be a lot of creeking.
There you go. A lot of creek walking, and if you can't detect them, I mean, I would definitely be magnet fishing. So for sure. For sure.
Oh, definitely. My magnets are almost always with me. I have not had any luck. I heard you, on one of the podcasts, weren't you talking about dumping your magnet down a well?
Yeah. There's one well. Have you tried that? You haven't tried it?
I have done that several times on places I can't dig, but we have cellar holes here, just like Amanda and Nancy have and stuff, but they're all untouchable to us. But I don't think there's a law that's wrong when we dump our magnets down. But I've never come up successful with anything exciting.
Well, Amanda just got a magnet not too long ago, didn't you, Amanda? Have you got to use it yet?
Yeah, I got it about 5 months ago. We just put the glue on it and haven't tied it up yet. So, no, I haven't used it yet.
You're hurting me here. You get a magnet, you put that sucker together.
Yes, yeah.
You got a new detector, would you be letting it sit in that box all night? 5 months?
Each time I've gone to take it, there's just something I need to do something that's more important first, so.
Yeah. You there? Sorry, I stepped away for a sec.
No.
But yeah, Amanda, do you have any creeks or rivers close to you? Like, real close?
To me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the one that I've been going to, that's the one that's kind of been...
The one you...
Found the Knights of Columbus fob and some other stuff. It's, I don't know, detecting hasn't really, I don't know. My head isn't there with detecting lately, and the river definitely helps soothe my soul a little bit more. So I've been going to the river more often than not in the last 2 weeks, so.
There's something very healing about water, isn't there?
There is. The sound is just, just the sound in Amanda's video the other day when she was kind of mudlarking and found that the buttons and Knights of Columbus thing. I was just enjoying the sound of the water. It was so healing.
Amanda, would you rather dig on land or in the water?
Ooh, it kind of depends on the time of the season, the weather, and then really like, a lot of the places I've gone to detect have real ties to the property owners. So going to some of these places and not being able to go say hello and go in and find out how their day was going and get hugs and more or less staying away has really kind of just, I like the people around it. And yes, the properties might be like 500 acres or 200 acres, so you don't really see anybody else, but I always visited with the property owners. So having a hard time, even though I'm still allowed to detect. It's hard going there and just like waving and I don't know. Yeah. And then the rivers, I have a lot of fun in the river. I don't detect the rivers because ours that I frequent the mills were built around it. So it's full of iron, full of iron. Um, so more or less I do the I Spy when I'm there. So I guess it's catch-22. I like bottle dump digging too. That's one of my highlights of treasure hunting, which I know
Yes,
you enjoy bottle hunting as well.
very much so. I don't understand people that don't like bottles and get
Yes.
excited about it. But
It's just
actually,
for
most of my
me.
bottles,
Go ahead.
I found most of my cool bottles, though, actually in the creeks.
Wow.
Yes.
My
Yeah.
oldest.
Yeah, some of the neat ones I found in the riverbeds as well.
Yeah. You just never would know what you're going to find in those creeks and rivers. Some of my favorite bottles came from creeks and rivers as well. Um, but I just love the dumps as well. So it doesn't matter if it's metal or bottle or marble or whatever, something old, I like it.
So
So
it's, everything has a story. I
it
always,
does.
to be able to put a story of someone else's in my hand and it's gone is amazing.
Right, right. That's
And
so
people will
true.
they just walk over the ground and have no idea that there's all these stories under our feet.
Right. Um, it's that's the fascinating part of what we do, for sure. And it's sad that so much of it's still, in the ground, and people are walking right over. They don't know what's right beneath their feet.
Yeah.
So, Amanda, you have another question or any more questions for Karin?
No, we ended up asking them all. So
Okay. Yeah, I guess usually that's the last one that we ask. We ask one other for Mike Fuson. Mike knows what it's our silly question. Are you ready?
Okay.
I'm going to let Amanda ask it because my dog is growling at my cat. I'm going to put on mute. She knows what I'm asking. So I'm afraid she's about to growl at the cat. So you go for it, Amanda.
So if you could, let me see if I have it here. Sorry, Mike, I'm failing you on this one. If you could dress up as a superhero to go metal detecting, who would you dress up as?
The superhero question. I forgot
Yeah.
about that. No gender bias here. How about Inspector Gadget.
Ooh,
Might get
that's
some
pretty
cool
good.
things.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that. That's a really good one. I like that.
And then I could have some cool little toys. I don't know if Inspector Gadget's really a superhero, though.
Oh, he's
I don't know.
definitely.
He's got. Yeah, he's got all those cool little things he can. Oh yeah, that's a good one. I like that. Very cool. And you can definitely do a lot of inspecting with all those gadgets, all your treasure finds and stuff. So.
Exactly. And maybe get in, like, when Gypsy's in the river, I don't know how she's done this because I've had to walk away from my share of little copper pennies, probably lots of wheat pennies and everything. I don't know how you get into those crevices and actually get it out of the crevices.
It's taken a lot of practice, and I finally got it down to a science now. Sometimes I spend, 20 minutes trying to get one out of a crack.
I have probably been doing it, that kind of creek stuff. You don't need a detector for it or anything. I've probably been doing that for 40 years, and I still haven't mastered that. I'll give up, and that's not like me.
Another thing, if they're not coming out well out of those cracks, you can take some little, what do you call them? The little, they're like scissors. I can't even think of what they're called. They've got little teeth.
Oh, hemorrhage?
Yeah, something like that, and you can pull them out sometimes with those. They fit well in your pouch. Tweezers work pretty well sometimes too.
Like needle nose pliers?
Yeah, needle nose pliers, that's what I'm thinking. Because some of them will lock too. So that's another little thing you can carry that will. Only thing is sometimes it scratches those finds, but sometimes that's the only way you're going to get them out of those cracks. But that's what I've had to do, unfortunately, sometimes. Well, since that was our last question, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up, Karen, for the evening. But we want to thank you for being here and chatting with us about our favorite subject. So it's been a lot of fun, and we want to thank you for being on here. And be sure and share the link with your friends after. They'll be able to come back and listen to it. So be sure and do that as well. And those of you that just well, yeah, thank you so much. Hopefully, this lockdown will be over soon, and we can all get together.
That would be wonderful.
That would be fun. So thank you all for listening tonight, and good night, all.
Good night.
Good night.